Hey guys, Mike the Cop. Stick around for an important message on discretion in law enforcement, especially during times like these. No one, unless you're really weird, enjoys getting pulled over by the police, and they certainly don't enjoy getting a ticket. And I am no different. I remember the last ticket that I had gotten was driving through a construction zone. So the speed limit had dropped from, I think it was down to 60 miles an hour where I was on the expressway, but it was, there were no construction workers present at all, right? So now there's like signs where workers present. There's different changes now in different laws, different states, whatever. That's not the point. Point is, I was driving through, there were construction barrels, not a construction worker or a piece of equipment in sight, just the barrels were up. And I got pulled over by a state trooper and I was given a citation, and the citation was for speeding in a construction zone. I went to court to try to basically say, hey, can I get this reduced at all? You know, there was no intent on my part to try to put anybody in danger, et cetera, et cetera. It was not reduced to like a no point violation or anything like that. And what happened is, not only do I obviously pay the citation value, but then there is an increase in insurance as well. And that increase in insurance can last for longer than 2 years. Like, it has an impact. That traffic stop turned into a massive expense for me on something that, while I was at the end of the day black and white in the wrong, did I need to learn the lesson that way? Or was there an option for discretion that could have taught me a lesson about speeding or speeding in construction zones another way? And guys, that stuck with me more than 10 years later as an officer. My warning to ticket rate is like 95+% warning over getting a ticket. And I really truly judge it by the conversation that I'm having with that driver about what the violation was, what the dangers are for that violation, and to get a gauge on, do they understand that, and will they change that behavior that could be putting others in danger? And I try to really make an honest assessment of that, to use my discretion as widely as I possibly can, because the goal of an officer isn't to punish people. The goal of the officer is to protect their community, and part of that involves traffic laws. Speeding is dangerous, and there are laws regarding speed for reasons that are protective of a community. But the enforcement side of that, the goal should be to help change that behavior over time, not necessarily through the punitive action of a citation. Now, don't get me wrong, some people have the ticket coming. Some people, you could see like in the local system, when you pull them over, they have been pulled over and given 17 warnings. Well, if someone's behavior refuses to change with a conversation and a warning, well, then now you have it coming. Maybe the pocketbook will teach you the lesson. But for the most part, I think a lot of people appreciate the conversation and the context. A lot of times it was with people speeding through residential zones, which as a parent and a grandparent, that's a spot for me. Like, hey, and I've seen accidents involving children in neighborhoods. And sometimes I would pull people going 45 miles an hour in a 25 mile an hour per zone. And they would be like, what's the big deal? That was the attitude. And I would simply ask, have you ever seen a child? Have you ever seen a 6-year-old girl killed in an accident where a car was speeding in a neighborhood? And you could sometimes visibly see those dots connect on people and go, no, I haven't. And I would simply say, well, I have. That is why I am out here. That is why I'm on this street doing this job right now. And that can help change someone's perception or perspective on the importance of why I'm there as an officer, and the importance that they have in terms of changing that behavior that can keep other people safe. Now, I'm bringing all of this up because I was in this conversation with my buddy Dave. A lot of you guys know He Big Daddy D on Instagram. He's been a co-host with the Off the Cuff show that is no longer around, but Tales of Valor, our current podcast. He's hosts that with me. But anyway, we were talking about seeing someone get pulled over, and we have all this coronavirus scare. A lot of people are basically losing their jobs, at least in a temporary capacity. Some may end up being permanent, but These are difficult times. Not even getting political about this. You can do that all you want. The bottom line is the reality that we are in are that businesses are having to close and people are losing their jobs, their income, schools are closed, so daycare becomes a cost and an issue, and there's a lot going on. And when he saw an officer pull somebody over, and he got to thinking about this, and he brought it up in conversation, which is, man, I hope that person's not getting a ticket unless they really, really need it, because now more than ever, we need to think about what people are going through. I look back on that situation where I got pulled over by a police officer and ticketed, and I don't disrespect or fault that guy for doing his job, but I do think about that perspective. Like, could it have been done different for me to still learn the same lesson? And I think yes. And a lot of times officers that are brand new, they're sort of like hard charging. They want to go, do their job, do a good job. And I get it. I get the zeal and the excitement for the job. But if you could learn now, if you just think back to put yourselves in their shoes, and sometimes officers can lose that perspective, but we need to gain it. And now we need to have that perspective more than ever. We need to put ourselves in the shoes of the drivers of these cars for these traffic stops and think, can I use discretion in a way that is helpful and understanding for their current circumstances without excusing the behavior? And that's critical. I'm not excusing behavior that could put other people in danger. And there need to be consequences sometimes for our actions depending on who has been impacted. But if no one has been harmed in a traffic citation, in a traffic infraction, can you use your discretion, especially in difficult times like this, to help change behavior and maybe even encourage someone and change someone's day with how you interact with them as a police officer? That, as a training officer, is what I would be encouraging my trainees to be learning right now. I'd be taking advantage of teachable moments. And I hope that you guys maybe just pause and go, you know what? Maybe there are ways that I can approach this that help while people are going through these difficult circumstances and not add to it, especially economically. We're in for some rough times, I think, economically with the fallout from some of the stuff with the coronavirus nonsense. And if we can help in that capacity, I just want to encourage us to help. You guys can take my advice or leave it. That's okay. But I felt compelled to share this with you guys today. Thank you so much for following along with my content, sharing it, liking it, subscribing, commenting, all that good stuff. I appreciate it.